Twitch. I'm Matt Groves. I'm here with another episode of Live Coding with myself, Matt Groves. This is episode 38. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. I'm doing this for a while. Going to be a relatively short stream today. I've got some stuff to do, some places to go, and I can't spend as much time on Twitch as I like to today. Not a big deal. We'll just keep it nice and easy breezy today. We're going to work on some TwitchBot stuff, and more specifically, enhancing the user profile in TwitchBot that's stored for people who interact with the channel. So we're going to talk about what that means. This is sort of the guiding principle of this channel. If you're in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you are, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask it. Don't be afraid to look silly. Don't be afraid of being made fun of. I'm not going to stand for any of that business. If you have a question, ask away. Doesn't matter how simple or complicated you think it is, ask. We had someone stop in the last stream, I think it was, or maybe the stream before. I was doing C# on the screen. I was coding C#, and someone came in, and I guess because I was tagged with coding or web development on Twitch, they had a PHP question. I wasn't doing PHP, but I have done PHP in the past, and people in the chat room had done PHP. So we tried to help as best we could, and I think we succeeded. So ask away. Ask your questions. All right, let's do some plugs here. Get these plugs out of the way while people are starting to roll in. So, Team Live Coders, I'm part of this team on Twitch. This is a team of, like the name says, we code live. We code live on Twitch. I mean, I'll play games every once in a while, but most of the time on Twitch, I'm doing coding. I'm building stuff with databases and backends and .NET, C# and all that kind of stuff. Right now, we got InstaFluff up here. I rated InstaFluff a stream or two ago. Got a great stream, very friendly. Definitely worth checking out. But lots of other people also streaming on the team. People who are not streaming right now that stream different time zones, stream different subject matter, all kinds of great stuff. So we'll come back here and think about doing a raid towards the end of the session. I've raided InstaFluff a couple times. Tim Baudet, haven't rated him before, I don't think. Haven't rated CodeRush in a while. So lots of great choices here. We'll see how it looks towards the end of the stream when it comes to raiding. I like to raid other team members or other people who are doing live coding. Speaking of other people doing live coding, there's the Awesome Developers streaming list. This is a GitHub repo with a text file. GitHub/BNB/Awesome Developer Streams. It's a big text file of people who stream what they stream about. And it's not just Twitch. This could be Facebook, YouTube, etc., etc. And so you can see I'm on this list here. And the kind of stuff I stream about, databases, Couchbase, SQL, NoSQL, SQL++, a lot of .NET, a lot of C#, ASP.NET. And then occasionally, I got to update this, but I do some gaming, some podcasting stuff. Usually I do that on Calvin Allen's channel. And I've started doing some soldering. I've got all the stuff over there. Maybe once baseball season's over and I've got nothing to do in the evenings, usually hang out with my son and watch the Reds, or right now we're watching the World Series. Maybe we'll do some soldering over there instead. Or maybe my daughter will be watching that. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do. Mostly this stuff here, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Databases, .NET, C#, backend stuff. And we might dip into the front end a little bit today. That's only out of necessity, though. Not the area I usually like to focus on. But anyway, if you're not like me, if you want to search for something else, you can find other great topics, people streaming things about. Mark Krause doing PowerShell. Mike Conley doing Firefox development. That sounds pretty wild. What else? Sean Larkin doing Webpack stuff. So this is a great list of people you can go and check out their streams and see what they're up to. Okay, yes, and if you want to see old episodes of this show, and there are now, at this time, 37 old episodes, plus highlight clips, you can go to bit.ly/GrovesTube, check that out. Everything's archived in Twitch for like 30 days, but I also save it off to YouTube when I remember to. So go to bit.ly/GrovesTube, check out that archive there, and when I can, I try to mash those up into smaller chunks for you to follow just one specific thing, but the full episodes are there as well. So that's the link there. It's at the bottom of the screen as well. You can check it out. TwitchBot is currently on. Yes, that is correct. So if I do current project, this should work. And there it is. Now, something I've done differently with TwitchBot today is I don't have, on my desktop right now, I don't have a browser open. What I have instead is I've got Chatbot actually integrated with my Streamlabs OBS for the very first time. I'm doing that. It's still running locally. It's all still running locally, but eventually we'll get it onto Azure. Right now it's just running locally, but I finally moved into OBS. So if anything we're actually going to be displayed by that bot, it would show on the screen. Currently nothing will show. Maybe we'll change that at some point. Have some toast messages on there, or some fun, messages, or whatever. Well, we can now put stuff in the chatbot that's going to show up on the stream. So that's a possibility that's open for us right now. That's why the whole front end thing, it's a necessity, right? You have to have a front end to display that kind of stuff. Whoa, hey, just a dead man 13 with a big old paragraph of text here. Thank you for dropping in. Hello, sir. How are you doing? I have a question for you. Well, that's great. We were just talking about questions. My father got scammed by a trading site where he made a withdrawal a few weeks ago, and he didn't receive the money, and the scammers aren't answering their phones nor answering emails. Is there any way to get their site down or just to damage them? Sorry for making an entry like this. Oh my goodness, dead man. Wow. So this is not something I typically am very good at. Things like what I assume you mean is like some sort of hacking or DDoS attack or something like that. You want to use to try to get back at them. And I don't really have some advice for you. And I understand that they are scamming and they are doing something illegal, but that doesn't mean that getting back at them with a DDoS attack makes it legal either, right? The two wrongs don't make it right. So yeah, sorry about that. That's unfortunate. That sucks. I'm sorry about what your father's gone through there on a trading site. It might not even be the trading site doing the scamming, right? If it's a trading site, other people are involved. All right, so I think the best thing you can do is try to go through all the proper channels you can as best as possible. If it's a large enough amount of money, maybe even involve a lawyer or law enforcement. I'm not trying to make an ethical judgment here, but just getting revenge or trying to get their site down, they're probably either prepared for that or they're actually using someone else. So, that's unfortunate situation there. And so I know that's going to be emotional, getting a bit angry when I get back at them. I've been there. I don't really have any technical advice for you to do that. I will say, if you're looking for just sort of the terms that people have used, like to do these kinds of attacks, one of them's most common is called a DDoS. That's called a distributed denial of service attack, which basically means you're making denial of service means you're making so many requests to a site that the site can't serve anybody else, right? So kind of like a sit-in at a lunch counter. Maybe not the best metaphor, but no one else can get to their site because you're too busy hammering their site. A DOS attack is pretty simple to block, though. So then a distributed DOS attack, a DDoS attack, is you're using multiple machines, a whole bunch of different machines all the way across the world to clog up their site and basically prevent anyone else from getting in there. Sometimes crashing their site as well because it's just got so much traffic. Those are not, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert on that kind of thing. Those are, I don't think those are legal to do those sorts of things. But if you're looking for that, if you're trying to find a term to Google it, right, you're on tour and you want to find someone to do this, DDoS is the type of attack there. There's other types of sort of security channels you can do to try to exploit their site or do damage to their site. These are, I can say for sure, not legal to do. You should never do these sorts of things to a computer that you don't own. But go to OWASP. They have it's a security awareness site. You can learn about these types of attacks. It's okay. I am new to web development too. I've gone through PHP Basics, HTML, CSS3, JS Basics, and currently learning DOM manipulation. Any advice for direction? By the way, thank you very much for the guidance, sir. Okay, so you're new to web development. You've gone through PHP Basics. Another PHP user here. That's 2 in 1 week. That's cool. Any advice for direction? Let's see. I guess if you've gone through basics, like you're doing any sort of boot camp or any sort of formal training, or you're just sort of learning as you go. I guess my advice would depend on what you're currently doing, what you've already done. my path through coding is going to be very different than everyone else's, especially because my path in coding started a long time ago, and a lot of things have changed since then. So there's a couple things I could recommend. Maybe find a good boot camp. They do relatively short, a matter of like months, 6 to 9 months, maybe 12 months of education that they put you through. Sometimes they're in person, sometimes they're virtual, sometimes it's a combination. But they go put you through the process where you're learning things like PHP and HTML, and you're learning databases, and you're learning JavaScript and JSON and things like that. And at the end of the boot camp, the good ones anyway, they will provide you some services for getting your first job. Hey, thank you for the follow, just did man13. Appreciate that. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, I don't know if I can recommend any boot camps because I've never done one personally. So this is just something I've heard about secondhand, is the various boot camps. Some of them are fly-by-night. Some of them are more established. So make sure you do your homework on that. But boot camps are good. If you're looking for more guidance about sort of self-direction, and again, this is something I haven't really done much with, but there is a site out there called Pluralsight, and this is a paid service. They post a lot of instructional videos about various technologies and techniques for development. So you can definitely check out Pluralsight is another option. Those are a couple of suggestions. Just without knowing more about your situation, I would definitely put those on your list to look more into. But thank you for the follow, and you're always welcome to stop by here and ask more questions. And as people start to show up in the chat room, they're going to have their own opinions and their own guidance as well. So definitely take a look. Come back here another time, or come visit the other people on the Live Coders team, and they're all going to have good advice for you. But I think my advice is this is kind of what I did during college, and even after my first job, was I just get my hands on technology and start playing with it and start seeing how it works and seeing if I can get it to do something cool, to do something interesting. And you're going to learn a lot by just trying to do a simple task with any given technology, any given programming language, any given framework. You're going to learn a lot just by going through like a hello world situation. Don't leave it there, but you're going to learn a lot about how do you feel about React? How do you feel about Elixir? Stuff like that. You'll stay here. You like me. Just go make an espresso. That sounds good. Can I have one too? Make it 2 espressos. All right, let's get back to the plugs here. C Sharp Advent is still, signups are still going on. So if you're interested in this, let's just see if this URL still works. I closed my browser down. Here we go. So crosscuttingconcerns.com or just csadvent.christmas. We still got lots of spots left open if you want to write some blog post or tutorial or whatever. Has to do with C#. That's sort of the main rule, and it has to link back to this page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8 slots left, and one of those is mine. So really only 7 slots left before this fills up. Now you've got until December to actually, you've got until this date to actually publish your post. But if you want to get signed up, now is the time. I just closed the browser again. Darn it. Okay, if you are a Couchbase user, if Couchbase is something you are working with or considering working with, or you've spent some time with it at all, either Couchbase Server, Couchbase Mobile, Couchbase Sync Gateway, or anything related to Couchbase, I have a questionnaire for you. If you go to bit.ly/Couchbase survey, bit.ly/Couchbase survey, and go fill out the survey, and you're going to be entered to win one of these tremendous prizes. That's right. Here's the prizes right here. A C64 Mini retro gaming console, a JBL waterproof Bluetooth speaker, a Rocketbook reusable notebook, those are very cool, or a Decrypto board game. It looks like a lot of fun. So if you fill out the survey, thank you very much, because you're going to give us some great answers to help us plan and help us get feedback about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we should start doing, what we should stop doing, things like that. And you're going to be entered to win a prize. So please, if you're working with Couchbase. If you don't have any experience with Couchbase, I still want to talk to you. But this survey, we're looking for people who are sort of in the Couchbase community, working with it, trying it out, using it. So if you've never touched Couchbase before, maybe now's a good time for you to go check it out and give us some opinions. So anyway, that questionnaire is open. I still close the browser again. That's fine, because that's it for the plugs today. Now we're on to the good stuff. And as I said, this is going to be a shorter than normal stream today. It's still going to be substantial time. I got some stuff I need to do, some meetings I need to get to today. So we're going to have to cut the stream a little short, which is fine. But we're going to work on the bot today. So we've got a few ideas here that I've written down to enhance the bot a little more. So I think we can start with a couple easy ones. This live coders and awesome dev command. Those are things that I plug every time I start the stream. So why not add some commands in the bot to also plug them? So those are pretty simple to do. Why don't we take a crack at those? Okay, so let's bring up the hosted service here. All right, so this is, I've made some changes. I've refactored a little bit. So it used to be I had a big switch statement in this hosted service that would go through and parse the commands. I've actually moved that. I've refactored it over to this command request factory, which, that's a mouthful, right? I couldn't think of a better name for it. But what this does is it takes in your messages that come in through Twitch and parses them and creates builds a request, which is then passed to Mediator, which Mediator then goes and handles it, finds the handler for it, and runs the handler. So I've moved all that code over here for unit testing purposes, really. And so if I go to Twitch command request factory tests, you see I've got this whole suite of test cases here that go through and make sure that I'm parsing everything correctly. And why isn't live unit testing on? I did update Visual Studio recently, so it must have turned off live unit testing. Interesting. But here we go. It's going to run those unit tests here. It's running them right now. We should see a bunch of check marks show up. There we go. So you can see that this is all unit tested. Everything here has been green check mark. So it's all covered, which doesn't necessarily prove anything, but I think I've got pretty good test cases, pretty good test written here. So basically I want to make sure that the correct command goes to the correct text command that you type in goes to the correct request. Okay, so let's look at this help one, because this is probably the closest one. Help is not the right place, but help handler. This is probably the closest one to the live coders and awesome dev commands that we want to create, because all this does is just spit some text back out to the channel. So it's not a terribly complicated command. And this is something else I want to do in the future, is to give you specific details on various commands, right? So this lists the commands like help and current project and SO and profile and so on. But I wanted to give you more details. So if I say help SO, help profile, then it'll give you details on that specific command. So I want to get to that. But I think I want to leave help as its own thing. I could probably turn this into something that's more data-driven, but I'm not quite sure yet, because if I'm going to make help more complex, then I haven't really thought through all that yet. So let's not turn this one data-driven just yet. However, I think it would be a good idea to create a data-driven command that's more generic, right? So like I did with sound effects. Sound effects are more generic, so that I can, if I bring up my browser, which again I keep closing, I'm going to show you. We'll connect to Couchbase. I have running locally inside of Docker Compose. And so I've got this Twitch chat. This keeps track of all the Twitch chat messages, and it also has some other data that's being stored there. But if we go into this let's see, sound effect lookup handler. That's where I want to go. This is going to look at valid sound effects. Yep, that's the name I'm looking for. So if I retrieve that document, oh, I pasted the wrong thing. That was weird. There we go. Okay, so, and that's going to, I can just, if I want to add more sound effects, I just add them here to the database. Well, that's kind of true. I add them here, and I also have to add a corresponding WAV file for them that match these names pretty much. So I haven't gone quite that far. But I do want to make another document here. So let's just call this one, let's just call it, I don't know, static content commands. Okay, and so this is going to have an array, basically, of commands. And each of those commands is going to have this is going to be an array of objects. So the command itself will have a name like, what do we have? Awesome, well, live coders. And that's one. And another one would be awesome dev. Awesome dev, like this. And so then the content is just going to be the message that I want to be shown to the channel when someone types in those commands. So what I want to live in there is something like this. So check out Team Live Coders, colon, and then the URL for it. Oops. Okay, that just word wrapped. Okay, and check out Awesome Developers streaming list. Okay, so this is, what did I call that document again? Darn it. I forgot the name of it already. It was something content, right? Shoot. I just lost the key. Was it something static content? Valid static content? Did I call it that? I don't think so. No. Static content commands. I should have made a note of this. There it is. Oh, lucky. Why is it binary? Well, that's weird. I did not make a binary document unless it was invalid JSON. Did I mess up? I might have messed up. I can see the JSON in there, but I can't view it because it's binary. Let's go to Classic Editor. Maybe I can do it in Classic Editor mode. Look up that ID. Binary documents not allowed. Okay. Weird. Okay. I definitely messed something up here. So let's just delete this one and start over. And this time, I'm going to make a note of it. So this is going to be the factory. And I want to just make a note of the static content commands. So now I'm going to go to one of my favorite tools for writing and validating JSON, usually, but it's JSON lint. This is web-based. Commands. Okay. So each inside of these is going to have an object, command, and we had, I don't know, something, and then the actual content, like so, and like that. We'll have two of those, and let's just validate the JSON, which also formats it nicely. Okay, we're good. Well, let's try putting some comment in or content in here. Check out Team Live Coders. Okay, and the command I decided for that was going to be what? Live Coders, bang Live Coders. Okay, and the other one was Awesome Dev. Is that spelled right? Awesome Dev, yep. Awesome Developers streaming list. Okay. And this is just going to be check out Awesome Developers streaming list. Maybe some little quotes around that would be helpful. Okay, so that is valid JSON. I'm going to go back over here to my Twitch bucket, and let's get out of classic mode. I don't want to be in classic mode. Okay, retrieving some documents, adding a document. Okay. What I called it was static content command. This is the key. This is the ID. This is how I look up the document itself. And then inside the document, I want this to be there, which is valid JSON. So I didn't mess this up. And I'm going to look it up again just to make sure it's in there correctly. There it is. Okay, I must have just typed in some JSON incorrectly, and it let me save it, which is a little concerning. But anyway, the idea here is basically this is just going to be commands that are going to spit something out to the channel. And if I want to add more of them, I just have to add more items to this array. Easy as that. All right. So let's go back over here, and I'm going to have another case for x when await is static command. So when the user types in a bang command, I need to check to make sure that it is valid, and then go look it up. So we're going to return new static message, and we'll just say x. All right, so another method here, command text. And what I should check first of all, before I even touch the database, I'm going to say if command text doesn't, if it is not the case that command text starts with a bang, then we're just going to return false, because it's definitely not a command if it doesn't start with a bang. So there's no reason to send every single chat message and make that into a database lookup. There's no reason for that. So then I'm going to basically do what I did here with the sound effect and say valid static commands equals, this will be an await. We're going to bother mediator again. Valid static commands, which I haven't created yet, and new static commands lookup. Really not sure if this is the best naming yet, but let's go ahead and return valid static commands dot is valid command text. I just noticed up here that it replaces, I'm putting the replace up here in sound effect, so I should probably do that here as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And I also realized that it's checking every single command right now to see if it's a sound effect. If it doesn't hit any of these, it's going to pass it through as sound effect no matter what. So I need to put this guard clause on there as well. Although probably it'd be fine to just break that out up here as well. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can refactor that. Let's not worry about it right now. Let's just keep working on this feature. Maybe I'll just make a note to myself. If no bang, then just go directly to store message. Okay, something like that. We can work on that later. And yeah, I'm not sure about this because I don't want this to be every single method that I write. And hopefully there's not very many of these, right? It's already getting a little bit out of hand with these. They're trying to keep them really thin. I'm just passing them off to the mediator. But we'll see. All right, so valid static commands, that's going to be over here in models. Okay, this is going to look much like valid sound effects, where I have a list of sound effects and it is valid. So public list of static, what do I call it? I called it static command info. Over here I called it sound effects, so we'll just call it static commands. Yep. Okay, and where did I put the sound effect info class? Is it over here in models? It is, okay. That's fine. I can just stick it right here for now. And we know from our modeling we did earlier that I have every command basically has a command and a content. And they're both strings. So public string command and public string content. So not only do we have a user profile system in this Twitch bot, we also have a content management system. These are two great use cases for a NoSQL database. Now ours are very, very simple versions of these, but still we're hitting really good use cases for NoSQL for Couchbase. Okay, and then I have a is valid, which is going to look again very similar to this. If static commands is null, if empty, yep, that's fine, and like that. So it's not sound effect name, it's static x dot command equals sound effect to lower. See, now I'm kind of worried because I'm doing this bang and this bang here. Okay, because I think what I'm doing here is, in this request factory, I'm taking out the bang from it. So I should take out the bang from this too. I'll do that there, I'll do it here, in the actual database. Okay, that's fine. And I may want to rethink that as well, because that could be problematic in the future. Having to keep track of when to use bang, when not use bang. Anyway, not a big deal right now. Okay, valid static. So new static commands lookup, which is pretty much just a marker class. It's not really doing anything. Much like I have sound effect lookup here. Static commands lookup is going to be an iRequest, returning valid static commands, and it will be an iRequest of unit. Wait a second, is that right? I thought it would be like this. Oh, okay, I guess not. Now I'm nervous that I'm using mediator wrong. But let's just press on because it's currently working. So, all right. Okay, new static commands lookup. Valid static commands cannot convert from. It's not assignable from. Huh? Static commands lookup. Request. Yeah. And we've got sound effect lookup. What's the difference here? They both are implementing iRequest. So what is the problem? It's the same thing that's going on down here. See, I'm not doing anything different. Valid static command. Oh, unless this is... No, that doesn't hurt. That's just a plain old C# object. And so it, whoops. What happened? So is this one. Yeah. What am I doing wrong here? Static commands lookup. Oh, this needs to be, yeah, iRequest. Oh, hey, Justice Man, how's the espresso? Why is this complaining? Static commands lookup is not assignable to parameter type iRequest. Valid static commands. Ooh. Sound effect lookup. Valid sound effects iRequest units. Okay. This is just a plain old C# object. Okay. This one, iRequest. Oh, it's not valid sound effects. See, this is what you get for too much copy paste or naming things too similar. There we go. Okay. So now I've got this static message. This will be another request. This one's going to be I request, just I request. And not much, oh, I did need to put a constructor in there. Yeah, great constructor. Chat message, oh, I guess command, okay. It's wonderful, love it. Can you explain to me what you are currently doing? Sorry, I'm a noob. Hey, don't, no need to apologize for being a noob around here. Totally fine. I am working on the Twitch bot, the one that you can currently use if you type bang help, for instance. It will show you, it will whisper you some help commands. You can do various things with the bot right now. We're still working on it, but I'm building it in C# on .NET and using Couchbase as my database for it, which is where the data is being stored. So I'm working on right now a couple of commands. One is going to be live coders, and that's going to plug the Twitch live coders team that I'm a part of. And the other one is going to be Awesome Dev. That's going to plug a like a listing of the whole world of live coders that's available on GitHub. So, you know, I plug these every single stream, but I want to give people in the chat room the ability to execute those commands to also get that information. So that's what I'm doing. And in the process, as I'm building this Twitch bot, I'm also, basically I'm building two things. I'm building like a content management system in a way, and I'm also building a user profile system in a way. So I'm already tracking every chat message that comes in to the room. I'm already storing that in a database. I have options for people to add to their profile. Well, one option right now. We're going to add some more later. But I'm also building some content functionality into the system so people can access various types of content and display them to the rest of the people in the chat room. That's what I'm doing. So right now I'm working on just a generic static message command. So here's the content that I have in my system. It's just a single document with two pieces of very small content. All right, so this is not a very involved system. It's just plain text content. But if someone types in bang live coders, I want to show this message to the chat room. If someone types in bang awesome dev, I want to show this to the chat room. And in the future, if I want to add something else, I would just add another record here. I wouldn't have to rebuild or rewrite my code to do that. I just add another record here into the system. Now, in the future, I may want to add a command so I don't have to go touch the database myself directly. I could just, as the owner of this channel, type in a command into the chat room to do that. But that's not a big deal right now. Okay, so static message. All right, so this is going to take, we do public string command get, and we're going to set command equal to command. Okay, so we got all kinds of failing tests, which is fine. That's exactly what they're there for. Yes, so if you type bang help, if it's working, it should be working. It should have just whispered you a message with all the commands that you can use currently, which you can see here on the screen, like current project and shout out and profile, things like that. Bang bot doesn't do anything. So when I say bang, I do mean the exclamation point. Sorry, exclamation point, bang, same thing. But did bang help not work? Did it not send you anything? Because it should be working. It should be whispering something to you. So if you're using Twitch on the web, there should be a little window you can open and read it. If it's Twitch mobile, I'm not sure how whispering works there. Okay, but if it's not working, let me know, because it should be. And I can't really test bang help myself because you can't whisper to yourself on Twitch. Okay, so where was I? Yes, request factory. Static message, so I need a static message handler. No, you didn't get anything. Oh, that's a shame. So let me just check to make sure it's working. Current project. Okay, well that's unfortunate. So it may be because I'm currently working on the bot that it's not running. Let me just double check here. Well, it seems to be up and running. Let's try this one. These commands aren't working. So I'm concerned that, well, the fact that these are still running doesn't necessarily mean that I'm in the middle of working on it, so I might have broken it. As you can see, I've got lots of tests failing and things like that, and so that may be the reason. That's the danger of working on the chatbot locally and running it at the same time, which is why I want to eventually get it deployed out to Azure so that I can work on it locally and not affect it during the stream. So I'm going to assume that's the problem and just keep going. Sound effect handler. Okay. So I need a static message handler. That's what I need next. Static message handler. So that's going to be a request handler of static message. And I also need a static commands lookup handler. So I need two different handlers here. A request of static commands lookup. Oh no, I request handler. Okay, that should do it. Okay, so the static commands lookup handler, this is going to look at my content to see that it is in fact a static command. This is going to need, I'm going to need to inject my bucket into this. Twitch bucket provider, and then I will get the bucket out of that. Bucket provider dot get bucket. Set that there. Okay, and now we're going to get the look it up in the database. So we're going to get, this should be async by the way, asynchronous. We're going to await a get async of static, was it valid static? Yeah, valid static commands. And the lookup key for that is what? It is static contents commands. Just like that, okay? If it is not successful, I'm just going to return a new empty valid static commands because there is nothing. Why is this complaining? Wait a second here. Oh, I think I've done something wrong. This handler should be, if I look at sound effects, lookup handler, yes, it needs to be lookup, and then what it's going to return, which is valid static commands. That's more like it. So now it should work, and yep, okay, we're on the right track. Okay, I just need to return, also valid commands. We can just return, how did I do this in the lookup? Sound effects, lookup handler. No, that's not what I did. Sound effects, lookup handler. Oh yeah, I just straight up returned it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Return result value. Okay, that makes sense. We're going to make this guy read only, and that's it. You probably need to write unit tests for this. That's going to look it up. Just look up static commands, and it's going to, if there's nothing there, which there is right now, but we want to handle the case where there's not, it's going to return this object no matter what. This is going to be either null or empty, or it's going to contain those things that I put in it, those pieces of content, which is what I'm checking for right here. Excuse me. Okay, so one handler down. The other handler is going to, whoops, I closed it down here. The other handler is the static message handler. This is going to actually look up the message and print it out to the chat room. Right, so this is going to need constructor as well. Twitch bucket provider. Whoops. And it's also going to need the Twitch client to actually write the message to the chat room. So we'll say bucket equals bucket provider dot Haruhi. Hey man, thanks for coming back. Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had another PHP question. Well, kind of another PHP developer hanging out with us. Just a Dead Man 13. If he's still hanging around, he was getting an espresso. But thanks for coming back and seeing us again. Just working on the chatbot still. Adding a couple commands from the suggestions. Uh-oh, it's a raid. Oh my goodness. TBD Gamer, hello. Oh, Nick Larson, thank you very much for the raid. I'm surprised it's not showing a little raid graphic on the screen. I thought OBS was going to do that for me. But Nick Larson, thank you very much for the raid. We are doing some C# today, which I pretty much do every day, but I am working on the chatbot for this channel. Everyone has a chatbot. I'm doing some interesting stuff with my chatbot that's all kind of back-end oriented and database oriented. I'm building the fundamentals, the little kernel of a user profile for everybody who hangs out in the chat room. I'm also I've started building a really tiny kernel of a content management system to plug my teammates and other live streamers on the channel. So those are two great use cases for NoSQL databases, which is what I am, I work for a NoSQL database company, and it's something that I like working with a lot. So working on those today. Haruhi, believe it or not, after harassing us with threads, our teacher showed us tasks today. I want to puke at my teacher. Okay. So harassing you with threads, and you got to see tasks today. So that's interesting. Is there in your class? So I remember you talking about threads on Tuesday, and we spent some time talking about how threads are a real headache for everyone. But what's a task? I sort of have an idea. I know I've done some background task processing in recent memory. I'm curious as to your thoughts on what tasks are. Tasks do the threading stuff for you. I see. So are you actually doing C#.net in your class? Because that's exactly kind of what a task is in C#. It's not necessarily threading, but oftentimes it does involve threading. It's asynchronous, which could mean a different thread or could mean the same thread in C#. Yes, like right here, task. Asynchronous task. C#, your first programming language. Yep. Yeah, so tasks. Yes, async, await. We're doing a lot of that in this project here. Async and await, and that involves tasks. And the cool thing about C# is I guess, I don't know if it's that cool. But when you use tasks, when you do async, await, it actually does a lot of the plumbing for you behind the scenes. There's a huge amount of code that it generates to handle tasks and avoid race conditions and, not always avoid race conditions, but avoid any sort of concurrency issues in the code, things like that. I'm far, far from an expert, but I've gotten used to the C# way of writing async, await. I still have a lot to learn, but I've gotten used to working with tasks. Tasks have not always been in C#. Async, await has not always been in C#. They were not there when I first started it, so it's something I've had to learn more about as they've been introduced and become more widely used. Okay, so this is going to, let's see, TBD Gamer. I've got to do more reading. I feel like I should know more. Yeah, I always feel like I should know more about everything. I always feel like I'm way behind on just about everything. They were implemented in 2012 or 2014. Yeah, that sounds about right. Gosh, has it been that long? Oh my. Whew. For the longest time, I kind of avoided async and await as much as I could. That's more difficult to do these days. A lot a lot of parts of the .NET framework are, not a lot, but many of them are async only now for good reason. And a lot of libraries are planning on or are going async only because they deal with stuff that's, doesn't need to block or is actually better if it doesn't block. So kind of makes sense. We're going that direction. Okay, so what I need to do here, so I'm going to, assuming that the request is valid. It's Coral. What's up, Coral? Async is nice, especially when the language implementation supports composing them. Yes. Async is nice. It's still, depending on the implementation, it still can be a headache. But I think comparing like C Sharp's async await and JavaScript has an async await, comparing that to like the old like callback way of dealing with some of these things, so much better. Because you could get into the callback world and just be like callback, 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 a huge nest of callbacks. So yeah, it's good. It's still tough to think asynchronously, reason about it asynchronously, and my brain default thinks about blocking, non-asynchronous programming. But the world doesn't really work that way, I guess. Unfortunately. Okay, so we've got to look up the content, and next we've got to write the content to the chat room. It blends well with synchronous programming styles. It does. Sometimes, though, and this is maybe just a personal flaw, is I'll start writing things synchronously, and I'll get to a point where, oh, shoot, I should be doing asynchronous here. Well, now I've got to go all the way back up the stack and make that all asynchronous, as opposed to modeling things as concurrent processes. Yeah, I think certainly behind the scenes, this is a much better way of dealing with, blocking and synchronicity, and as opposed to spinning out threads like Haruhi was saying on Tuesday. Because I think C Sharp, I'm not sure about JavaScript, but I think C Sharp behind the scenes will assign asynchronous code to different threads if it makes sense to. I may be wrong about that. Because C Sharp is certainly capable of multi-threaded programming. So I think behind the scenes it will put stuff on other threads when it can. But it handles all the messy details around that. I could be wrong about that. Threads are awful. They really are. But there's no more free lunch, so what are we going to do? Okay, look up the content. I feel like this is maybe like one extra lookup more than I need. However, the way Couchbase works, it's all in memory anyway, so lookups are pretty darn quick. And we're only looking it up when someone actually types in one of these commands. So not a big deal. I think I'm okay with that. So we're going to basically do the same thing that I did here. I'm just going to assume, though, that it's valid. So there's the result. Okay. So the actual contents equals result.value. Fine. So that's the lookup there. This looks up in the database by this key. And then we're going to write it to the chat room. So that is Twitch client dot. I can't remember how to do this. I do like lightweight concurrent processes. Erlang does it really well, and other languages have access to libraries that implement the actor model as well. Haruhime says, as far as I could tell, Task uses the thread pool, so the task class itself manages the handling of threads, and when you say it's an async task, it will do it async. Yeah, that sounds about right, yes. I vaguely remember sitting in on a session when async and await were first introduced to C#, and they went through some of the details, the stuff that was behind the scene. Because actually, this is just syntactical sugar right here. If you look at the actual code that gets compiled, it's a huge, like, I can't remember what the pattern is. Some sort of design pattern. But it generates this whole design pattern around this code in this method here. So it's a whole big stack of code that it writes for you. That's essentially what async and await are doing. I'm not going to go into decompiler and prove it because that's I don't feel like getting into decompiling today. But it does. So if you open up, write some async await code, compile it, use a decompiler, look at the code that gets generated. You're going to see a huge mess of stuff in there. Maybe not by default. Depends on the decompiler you're using. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how do I write to Twitch. Not send Whisper. Say current project. Send message. Message.channel. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Okay, I think I may have messed something up here. Oh no, I want to go to the factory. Factory. Yeah, okay. Because I need the channel, I have to pass in, I don't need to do this, but well, I could just do this. I could say chat message.channel. That's one way to deal with it. Add parameter at like this. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I'll just call this channel. That's fine, I guess. Is channel a reserved word? Oh, it's just a different color because it's not being used yet. Wait, hang on. Not being used. Oh yeah, I guess I gotta set it. Channel equals channel. Okay, so now we should be fine. Handler request dot channel, and then this is the actual message. So the message should be result dot contents static commands. The first one that command equals request dot command. Yep, and so that should be a string. No, it should just be an object. That's fine. So let's call this content. Oh no, command. Okay, and then I want to write out command dot content. And that's it. So we'll return default. Okay. So I probably should write unit tests, but let's since I already broke the chatbot earlier in the stream, let's just ship it. See what happens. Okay, so there we go. And so let's try, what was the command? Live coders. And nothing. Okay, so clearly I broke something. Yeah, and there's definitely something going wrong here. For which one? Which one's broken? SO. Well, that's weird. SO followed by nothing should have stored the message. Okay. Yeah, so that's a unit test problem because I need to set up a mock here because now it's thinking that SO could be, it's going to check to see if it is a content command. It's not, it shouldn't be, so I need to mock that up. So we'll get to that. But that doesn't explain why this isn't working. So we're going to hit debug now. We're going to step through it. F5 for debug in Visual Studio. Short stream today, got maybe 20 minutes or so, half an hour. We could probably stretch it there. Just want to give everybody a heads up, and then we'll be looking into a raid of someone else. Who raided me today? It was Nick Larson. So we're going to find someone else and return the favor. We're going to pay it forward, if you will. So I did live coders. And okay, there it is. So this, I would expect this to go into the is static command. Okay, good. Oh, it didn't like that. Let's try it again. So I'll set a different breakpoint here. How did the podcast go this week, BTW? I didn't get to join. I'll be listening later. It went really well. Calvin and I have started to get a little more comfortable, like in our podcast conversations, and I think we're finally getting into a groove. We reached episode 10. We're in double digits now, finally. The stream's out there, so you can listen to the live version, and he'll be publishing the podcast itself soon enough. Okay, so why doesn't it like this? Oh, okay. So that's TBD Amber's message. I'm looking for mine. Okay, live coders. Okay, fine. File static commands. Oh, it's returning a null. Well, that's no good. This should be static commands lookup. Oh, static commands lookup handler. Static commands lookup handler. So something in here is a problem? Let's take the breakpoint off of here. Woohoo, double digits. Thank you, Haruhi. Appreciate that fist bump. Here, I'll give you another one. I'll give you a virtual Twitch fist bump. Appreciate that. My own podcast is very different from the one I'm doing with Calvin, because my own podcast is very much like an interview style, and it's just like a different guest every time. With Calvin, it's just like we're talking about .NET news and stuff, and we're starting to get to a point where we're comfortable sort of riffing on it a little bit. So I think it's getting a little more interesting to listen to, which is good, and it's a lot always fun to hang out with Calvin. So let's see. This result is successful. Yeah. Oh, static commands. So it's not, okay, so I'm doing something wrong with the serialization here. Ah, that's what it is. This one is commands. Over here, it's just static commands. So that's the mismatch there. Okay. That would be something that I would not have found with a unit test. Need an integration test for stuff like that. All right, so let's try it again. Oh, now we got build errors. Okay, what else? Okay, commands. Okay, good. We're going to run her again. And live coders. Still not working. Okay, so what else did I do wrong? Is it? No, I don't think that's it. Well, I probably need to make sure I'm lowercasing everything. Apologize for spamming the channel with live coders so much. But we're doing it live. Return value. Okay. So that looks good. Live coders, awesome dev. Okay, good. So now we've got over to here. It's not getting here. So this should return true, right? One more time. Live coders. Yep, so that works. We know that. File static commands, the command text. Oh. Wait. Huh? Oh, I'm not replacing it. Okay. See, I knew this would come back to bite me. I knew it would. name by itself equals command text dot replace that exclamation point with a blank. I'll put command name right here. Okay. I'm going to start in debug mode this time again because if I don't, it's not going to work. Bang live coders, go. Okay. Yep. There we go. Success. All right, and then if I do the same thing for awesome dev, and I'll just take off this breakpoint here. Awesome dev, same thing. Woohoo! It works. Tremendous. All right, so now just to drive home the point, you guys are so nice to me. This is this is I don't deserve your cheers for this. This is such a minor thing, but I do appreciate it. The next thing I want to do is just drive home the point that this is now a content management system. So I'm running the site, running this chatbot, and all I'm going to do is just add some new content. So I'm going to need some audience participation for this. I'm going to add a new command. This is going to be a temporary one. I'm going to remove it. This is just for testing purposes. But I need you to give me a name of a command and the text that it should spit out in the chat room. You've been looking at a lot of stuff not working. Doesn't matter how small, it's nice to see something that does. Yeah, it's always good to celebrate the victories, however small they are. You know, I talk about you know, being from the Midwest. We sort of have, a lot of us I think have this attitude where it's just like, you know, we don't want to take credit for something. We don't like to appear like we're bragging or things like that. So it's an attitude that I have sometimes, like a humility. Maybe it's like a false humility. I don't know. Anywho, I need your suggestions for a command. Start with a bang, and the content is going to show to the chat room. This will be a one-time only thing. Good work and debug endurance must be honored with cheers. That's so nice of you, Haruhi. Appreciate it. All right, if no one comes with a suggestion, I'm going to have to put my own in there. I think I'm going to call it trout. Slaps you around with a large trout. We're going to go old school here. So so once I save this, if you hit bang trout, it should show that message. So someone go ahead and try bang trout and see what happens. Bang trout. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Oh no. What in the world? Oh, yep. I got this. I messed it up again. So I put the bang in there. All right, try it again. Now it should work. There we go. Success. All right. You've all been trouted. Actually, trout's not a bad idea for another command. That would involve a little bit different because it's going to, like, instead of slaps you around with large trout, should be slaps Haruhi around with large trout. That sort of thing, right? Should customize the content. So maybe we can make this into a templating system. Slaps username around with large trout. That's a whole, I mean, maybe we could use Razor or something. But, yeah, something like that. That's a lot. So if the command issues a /me with username, you can do /me's in here, right? Slaps coral around with a large trout. Yeah, you can do /me's. So there's got to be a way I can do that with the API as well. Definitely something I should look into. Slaps username around with a large trout. So maybe this is a templating system, or maybe just a simple find replace. I don't know. That's a whole different thing. But anyway, have you tried that? Have I tried what? Templating system, or the /me? /action sort of thing. Yeah, I just did that. That my command up there, right above your message. Matthew D. Groves slaps coral R around with large trout. That was a /me. Oh no, I haven't done it in the bot. No, I absolutely have not done that in the bot. I assumed it's. I hope it's in the Twitch client somewhere. It's like action or something. Wet cat. Oh no. Yeah, maybe maybe I could do a send raw or something. I'd have to look that up in the API. You think if I just sent just the raw message /me, it would work? Yeah. You think it will escape it? That's what I assume it would escape it. Maybe the send raw is what I need to do. I'll have to look into that some more. That's a really good idea. Just remembering the whole trout thing. That was an MIRC thing? Or was that... I thought that was maybe just an IRC thing. Send message with the string join or something. Yeah. It's IRC in general. Yeah, okay. But it doesn't work here on Twitch, right? If I just do /trout. Yeah, it says unrecognized command. Well, that's unfortunate. That's something that Twitch took out, maybe? The trout command? We're going to put it back. We're bringing trout back. All right. Okay, so there we go. We've got those commands in there. Twitch never had it. That's a shame. Okay, so we've done a lot, and it works, but now we've got to get the unit test in place to make sure we'll know when a regression happens, something bad happens. So we've got a few things to write tests for, and I got about 15 minutes. I'm not going to get through all these tests, but we'll do what we can here. Static. We'll start with static message handler. This is a request handler test. Static message handler tests. I am NUnit. Is what I do. Never really gotten used to XUnit. Nothing wrong with it, but just I've written so many tests in NUnit. It's just kind of like muscle memory. Probably want to make this asynchronous, right? Async task. Okay, so we're testing this handler. We want to see that basically it's just going to write the message, whatever message we want. You're an NUniter too? TBD Gamer, on my last laptop, I had an NUnit sticker. I was really proud of this NUnit sticker. I haven't seen one since. But I want to get one for my new laptop. So I'm going to look out for NUnit stickers because, yes, there's dwindling numbers of us, right? Microsoft is trying to get people into the XUnit world. But I'm NUnit. NUnit for life. Not really, but I like NUnit. All right. Says gets content and says it to chat room. That's really all we're testing there. Okay, so we're going to need the handler itself. New static message handler, not the test, just the handler. We're going to need to pass in a mock bucket provider object and a mock Twitch client object. And I'm going to do a little bit of copy and pasting here. Say current project handler. We're going to get this, and this. Slap those in there. I also use mock, M-O-Q. Actually, I like mock. I've used a lot of mock. I've used Rhino mocks. I'm not really a huge fan of Rhino mocks. I've used Just Mock from Telerik, which I like a lot, but I tried to use it for this project back in the early days, and I had some problems. I don't think they have a .NET Core version, at least not one yet. Or maybe I didn't know how to set it up correctly. But I like Just Mock, because you don't have to do this .object thing with Just Mock. Anywho, okay, we've got this stuff here. Okay, and we'll put the handler in there as well. All right. So we're going to act and our, whoops, what happened? Okay, a little temporary lockup there. Handler dot handle our request and non-cancellation token. We'll just await that. Okay. NUnit is a unit testing. Oh, sorry. Yes, Haruhi. NUnit is a unit testing framework. I think it's roughly based on the unit. It's called Unit testing framework from Java World. But that's what I'm doing right here. Is I'm just writing these tests with NUnit. That's what these things are sort of part of that, and there's also asserts that are part of that as well. If you're not familiar with unit testing, we can talk about that as well. But unit testing is something that I know was, and I didn't know it at the time, but conspicuously absent from my college education. Like, we never talked about automated testing, we never did any automated testing, and I didn't really even discover automated testing until many, many years into my career. And of course, you have things now like test-driven development and BDD and stuff like that depend on it. But okay, request equals new. No, not yet. I'm new to programming. Just started in February learning. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. Unit testing is something. Just hopefully, whatever curriculum or plan you're following includes unit testing at some point, whether or not it's TDD or test after or whatever. But the ability to learn how to write unit tests is going to have a profound impact on the way you write your code. And unit tests can help you with a lot of things. Help you with regression testing, which is, from my point of view, one of the best things about them. Can help you with design. Can help you with just overall testing. But that's integration testing would be probably more likely to help you there. Anyway, there's a lot to learn about testing. I can recommend some books for you if you want to check those out. But if you're brand new to programming, that's fine. Keep with the basics for now. But just keep in the back of your mind the idea that you're going to have to write code that's going to test your code, which is pretty wild. But okay, some message, some channel. So we're going to also arrange the content equal to be new, valid static commands. And commands equals new list. Any material would be helpful. Would really appreciate that. Okay, well, you are learning C#.net. Is that right? You know what? Let me get on to a incognito just in case here. So I've got some books I'd recommend for you. TD James Bender. TD.net. Yes. So here's one. This is kind of an older book, but it's I think a lot of the principles still hold up in there today. It's called Test-Driven Development with C#. Written by a friend of mine who used to live here in Columbus named James Bender, and co-authored by Jeff McWhirter, who I also know, but certainly know James a lot more than Jeff. This is a good one to check out. I actually might have a copy somewhere. I haven't opened it in a while. Or maybe I gave it to somebody else. I forget. This is a good one. Let's see, who else? Of course, the most famous one is this one. Test-Driven Development by Example by Kent Beck. Now, the examples in this book are mostly Java, I believe. But if you want to learn more about test-driven development, this is a great book to start with. This is also about test-driven development, but certainly a lot of examples are in C#, so it's definitely helpful there to learn about that. Those are really good places to start for testing. You never read either of these? Oh my goodness, TBD Gamer. I mean, certainly James Bender is not a world-renowned author as much as Kent Beck is. This is a book that's sold pretty well, but this one has been around since 2004, I want to say. I don't know. Let's see. 2003. This has been around for a while. Okay, cool. I hope I can get a German translation. Okay, you're more likely to get a German translation of this one. This one I doubt. I don't know about this one. But the Kent Beck book, I bet you there's a German version of it. It's been around for a while. It sells quite well. And those are good places to look for unit testing. Where else? Unit testing. You know, a lot of the stuff I learned about unit testing, but beyond these books, was a lot of conference sessions and training. In fact, one of the guy who was very influential on me on unit tests is Phil Japixi. Looks like he has some Lynda courses. Well, one about core new features, but I bet you he's got some unit testing material out there. So if you look at Phil Japixi, and it's impossible to spell his name right, but Phil Japixi, aka Ski Medic, he's done a lot of stuff around unit testing. He's been doing unit testing for a long, long time. A very important GIF. Let's open it up here. What are we looking at here? Oh, I love puppies. Thank you for stopping by and showing us a picture of a puppy. I guess it was time for puppy break. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, whatever. Phil Japixi. I posted it there in the chat room. Phil Japixi. His name is hard to spell and pronounce, so oftentimes he'll go by Ski Medic. Phil Japuppy. He'll go by Ski Medic on Twitter and places like that because he is a certified ski medic. But yeah, Phil Japixi. Those are some places to start. I learned a lot from Phil Japixi, the Kent Beck book, and the James Zinner book I'd recommend. You know what? Another book is, I think there's like a chapter on unit testing in it. But it's one of my favorite books. This is probably pretty outdated, though. ASP.NET MVC from... It's not, well, I don't think Hanselman wrote the latest one. So this book right here, Professional ASP.NET MVC 1.0. This is an outdated book, right? It's 1.0. It's a tremendous book, though. It takes you through a sample article called, sample project called Nerd Dinner, which is a tremendous project. Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, seriously. This is Rob Corddry? Rob Connery? My gosh. Guthrie still looks the same. Hanselman definitely aged a little bit, and Phil Hack, he also looks the same, but I think he has a different haircut these days. So really, it's just Rob Connery looks different. Sorry, Rob, if you're watching this. This is a tremendous book, but there's been later editions of this one. The last one I think I read was 3. Oh, geez, I don't remember. Anyway, that series of books from O'Reilly. Is it O'Reilly? Is this O'Reilly? No, Rocks. Those books, this one I don't know about. I don't think I've read that one. But if it's got like Hanselman, Connery, Galloway, Phil Hack, those guys, those are primarily about MVC, but they do cover a lot of the unit testing stuff in them as well. So those are books I'd recommend. Oh, okay. Well, we got sidetracked, and I'm running out of time, but that's totally fine. That's totally cool. Happy to take those questions about unit testing and take a little trip down memory lane. Always like doing that. Okay, so see if we can finish this test. Command equals, let's give this a command name. So I'll duplicate this. And we're testing it, so we're not actually going to hit the database. This is a unit test. So I'm just putting in some fake stuff. And then the content is going to be blah, 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 whatever. And I'll slap on a GUID there just for good measure. So it's different every time. And, yep, okay, good. And we're going to assert. Although okay, command name should go in here. I still think I'm missing something. I am missing something. We just set the mock bucket to TBD Gamer. Thanks for the advice. Still need to develop my own routines on how to build my code. Sometimes I hit a wall and can't think of a way to go around it. Yep, that's welcome to programming, Haruhi. Hit a wall all the time. I think one of the things I do when I hit a wall, if I can't solve it, like I try to time box it, right? If I can't solve it in the next half hour, I'll go take a break. I'll go get a coffee, or I'll do what Just a Dead Man 13 did earlier today, and go get an espresso. Or just go sleep, and sometimes the answer will come to me. Something my brain will click. But hubby says it's totally normal in the beginning. Yeah, hubby is right. I'd say it's totally normal, not just in the beginning. I'd say it's totally normal throughout your career. This happens all the time. Yep, breaks definitely help. Yeah, no hurdles, walls, obstructions means you're not being challenged. That's a really good attitude to have, TBD Gamer, but, still, computer programming is just oftentimes long periods of slamming your head into a wall until you figure out how to open the door to get through it. And then there's another wall, and it's just a long series of walls and doors. Hubby is also a programmer, so he's helping me when doing my homework, and I hit a wall. Well, that's nice. Personally, I don't think I could be married to another programmer. I think I would probably I would drive them absolutely insane. My wife is married to a programmer, and she's very frustrated by me sometimes. I couldn't imagine us both being programmers. Frustrating as they may be, it'll happen, but the sense of satisfaction when you bust through, unrivaled. Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes you look back and you're like, how can I be so stupid? No, it's very funny. It's very funny having a programmer. My wife, you just sit playing a computer all day watching Twitch. That's what my kids think I do. All right, I gotta make this test pass, but I'm not gonna have time. I gotta get to rating, I think. So I got to get on the road. I want to thank you all for joining me. This has been a great chat today. Lots of great discussion, lots of great questions. Who shall we raid? We confuse each other with around the corner thoughts. So many choices today to raid. I think CLW is a good choice. This guy, he's doing some Stack Overflow and using Blazor. That's some cool stuff. InstaFluff, I just raided InstaFluff, I think, on Tuesday. So I'm not going to raid him again. Let's try CLW. So be nice to Corey over there. Use the emote if you're a subscriber. Be nice, ask questions, discuss, hang out with him for a while. I'll be back here, I think, on Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern U.S. time. I'll be back here again streaming. So in the meantime, thank you all very much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it, and hope you all have a great day. We'll get the raid kicked off right now.